Hey, good Tuesday evening, everyone. This is State Representative Brad Halbrook with the Tuesday night edition of the Illinois Freedom Caucus Roundtable. And I am joined by Leader Chairman Chris Miller and Vice Chairman Blaine Wilhauer and Treasurer Dan Calkins. And thanks, gentlemen, for joining us in. What a week and a half it's been. Attempted assassination of President Trump, the RNC convention. And now the question on everybody's mind is, where is President Joe Biden? Welcome. Chris, any opening comments?
Well, it's great to be here, Brad. And I know one thing, it is a tumultuous Tuesday evening. It's just incredible, the events of the past week and what's going on currently. And it's a great time to be a believer. I know that, because a lot of people's perspective is things are falling apart, but from our perspective, things are falling in place. So
exactly.
We can walk by faith.
Exactly. And to that, Blaine, you're we're happy to have you on this evening. Haven't seen you for a while, so thanks for joining us. What's going on in your neighborhood?
No, we got all kinds of things going on, and I appreciate what Chris just said. As believers, it's time to wake up, and it's time to pray up, if there ever was a time. With what we're living through here, I think it's pretty clear that we are literally living, and probably have been for the past 3.5 years, in a literal post-democratic system of government. We need a proof of life on video of Joe Biden today, and that's deadly serious. This is ridiculous, banana republic stuff. He's never been in charge. They hit him in his basement. That was the only reason he got elected in 2020. And who's really running our government? In a democratic society, we elect leaders to run the governments, clearly being run by people that aren't elected, and that's a problem in government, from the U.S. all the way down to the state of Illinois where we serve. It's time to send people back to D.C. and Springfield that are serious about making good decisions and doing tough things for people, that's going to stand up to these insane bureaucrats that are completely out of control.
Exactly. And to the Northern Command, Dan Calkins.
Good evening, and great to be here again. We are living in history, and the last few weeks, and probably the next few weeks, going into the convention, and a historical time that people will look back on, and how our country survives, and how we
yeah, exactly.
People are paying attention, and they need to pay very close attention.
Yep, exactly. Well, gentlemen, with that, let's get right into our topic of the evening. I'll bring the slides up here, and hopefully we can find. There's everybody. Okay. So we're going to talk about Joe Biden dropping out, and is Governor Pritzker standing by? Let's pull up our next slide. There we go. So, gentlemen, Joe Biden's destined to drop out since debate night. We just kind of thought that was kind of bizarre, the way that was being set up to come on really early there in June. And of course, what's happening in the last several days. I'll just throw it open. You guys kind of have at this topic in the resignation letter over there on the other side, or not necessarily a resignation letter, but the letter that he's dropping out of the race.
One thing that occurs
who sends a resignation letter without a presidential seal and a fake signature on it over social media, to resign from the most powerful, or to step out of the position of the most powerful position in the world, and it just leads into what I was saying before. Who's really running this stuff? It's clearly not. It's not Joe Biden. It's people around him that weren't elected. I mean, and the Democrats, they have a storied history of this. They stole the primary in 2016 from Bernie. You know, they set it up to subvert the will of their own people. Then, you know, they stole it in 2020, and you know, now we're literally on the verge of, you know, well, they're not on the verge. They're installing somebody in this position to be on the top of the ticket. This never received the vote from anybody. This never received the primary vote from anybody. She ran briefly for president in 2020. She was so atrocious that she didn't even make it to the first primary, and literally nobody has ever voted for her. And that's who they're putting in there. And they're doing all this with a straight face, and the media just seems like it's all hunky dory. But JB Pritzker, yeah, I think all of us would love to see JB Pritzker on the ticket. The guy brings nothing. He's never stood up to any real scrutiny, at any point in time. The media in the state of Illinois is lame. They've never gone after him. It would be glorious to see him up there, but he's not going to be it because he brings nothing to it.
Right. Well, we've always accused the Democrats of rigging the election. Now they're rigging their own election. I think,
and they have. This is the third time in a row, Brad.
Yeah, Chris.
Well, there's I don't know, this whole process smells to high heaven. You know, the first thing that strikes me is that the Dems are always trying to trot out another shiny object to suck the oxygen out of the room. And let's not forget that a gunman attempted to assassinate the president, just a few days ago. And also the incompetency of the Secret Service is glaring, that they would be able to get somebody in a position like that. But even shifting over to Joe Biden, that whole process is suspect to a lot of scrutiny because, just like Blaine mentioned, there was a letter written not on a White House letterhead, which, first is really weird. The second thing is there's been expert after experts say that that's not Joe Biden's signature on the bottom of that page. That's another thing. There was no press conference about him stepping aside. I mean, this is an historical event taking place. There's not even a photo of him even pretending like that there's some kind of continuity or some kind of process to this. And then if you'll remember, just a few short days ago, J.B. Pritzker is 100% confident that Joe Biden is completely capable of running for president, completely capable of running the country. That shows what kind of discernment that he has, and a lot of the other talking heads. Within 90 minutes, the whole thing's changing. And guess what is the net result of this? The American people have absolutely no confidence in their government to be able to run this place.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, one of the memes I saw is President Biden is going to be upset when he finds out that he dropped out of the race.
Yeah. Remember back years and years ago, waking up, but this is this is a very, very dangerous time. I'm very concerned about our adversaries' process and their desire to undermine our country and our place in the world. And there's no better time, for more than 6 months, all the way into January. We need to be very vigilant and and hope that we have the resolve and the right people in place. Get too deep into the conspiracy theory stuff, but there's this whole assassination attempt on President Trump. There's no way an untrained 20-year-old kid pulls this off by himself. There's all kinds of things going on. Yes, the hearing that they held on Monday with the director of the Secret Service only fed the fires of conspiracy theorists. And we've had conspiracy theories in the past, and look how they turned out. There's something very rotten in Denmark, and
Yeah.
I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what President Trump can do about it. It's rotten to the core. So we continue to pray for the health and safety of President Trump and those around him.
Right. Yeah, gentlemen, our next slide here talks about kind of what's going on. Will there be an open convention? What's that going to look like? Just what, 3.5, 4 hours north of where we represent, our areas that we represent. And where's this all going to go? Kamala, Pritzker, Newsom, Michelle? What's your thoughts? I'll throw it out for just a few comments here.
I think that one of the interesting things that the American people need to understand is that it doesn't really matter which Democrat that they trot out there, because ideologically they're all identical. They all believe in an open border. They all believe that we should put the criminals first rather than the victims. I mean, we have chaos everywhere because they've thrown safety and security away. Inflation is off the charts. The other night in President Trump's speech, I think that he made the comment that the average working family is spending $28,000 more out of their budget for just goods and services, just living expenses. And I know in my old district in the 102nd now, that the average household income was just slightly under $50,000 a year. So could you imagine how catastrophic that would be to the family budget? They all believe that we should be buying our energy from our enemies and enriching that and funding both sides of the war, giving money to terrorists, and on and on. They all believe in child mutilation. They all believe that we should be indoctrinating our kids rather than educating them in reading, writing, arithmetic, math, critical thinking. And they lie with impunity because they know that no one from the media is going to hold their feet to the fire. And we're living a nightmare right now because of the radical Democrats. And so make no mistake, it doesn't matter who they run. They're all the same.
Yeah, exactly. Dan or Blaine, anything to weigh in on that before we move to the next slide?
The thing Chris missed was the radical energy policies that are going to really continue this country. It's amazing. The people talk. You hear the Democrats talk about inflation is coming down. Inflation is coming down, and that's the truth. Is the rate of inflation. What they don't want to talk is compound effect. Our dollar, from if your dollar was 100% when Biden was elected president, so we have suffered through a 20% loss of earnings power for 3 years. So yeah, in point whatever percent, but over the last 3 years, that means that it's gone up 20%. So this goes back. No one's gotten a 20% pay raise in the last 3 years except the members of the General Assembly.
Well, in practice, I think another, just in practical speaking, is that, I know that everybody, or at least in my household, we're paying double for electricity. Our electricity bills have doubled, and sometime in the wintertime they've tripled. We're paying $1.50 more for gas, where our food bill is twice what it was before. So I think the real rate of inflation is far more than what we're actually having them claim it is.
Blaine, you're in the construction business. Some experts have said that home ownership has doubled in the last 3.5 years. You're seeing this play out, I'm sure, in real time, what's going on in your business and how it's affecting folks. But yeah, any thoughts on where this is all going?
Oh, things have become unaffordable, and in addition to things being unaffordable, it's just things are harder to get.
Right.
The logistics in our industry are a lot more difficult than they ever have been. I've never really recovered from COVID and all the meddling around that they're doing here. But as far as the open convention stuff and all of that, I think Chris hit it on the head. I don't think it matters who they put in there. It doesn't matter as far as what they're going to be pushing, because does anybody believe that Kamala Harris is likely going to be the nominee? There's just a timing issue there where it's going to be very hard for anybody else to get it. But does anybody believe that Kamala is going to be running anything? She's an idiot. With a long, illustrious career of proving that she's never really done anything. So the same people that are running Biden are going to be running her. This has all been figured out for weeks. Does anybody really believe the Kamala Harris inspired regular Americans to donate $100 million overnight?
No.
Wake up, people. That doesn't happen. This has all been choreographed for a long time. They've been doing this, and it's time for people to wake up. And Chris also said it. Let's not brush aside the fact with this new shiny object that they literally just tried to kill the former president like less than 10 days ago, and we're getting zero answers. Zero answers about all the shady doesn't even begin to describe it. So it's pretty clear for people who are paying attention that these actors are controlling the Democrat Party, have been for a long time, and clearly they're scared that they can't control Donald Trump. So I think that's the best electoral advertising that you could ever have. We need somebody that's going to go in there that's going to be serious about cleaning house from top to bottom, and I think that's why you're seeing such panic and fear from these deep state bureaucratic unelected actors in DC. But this has needed to happen for a long time, and it needs to happen in the states too. It needs to happen in states like Illinois that is completely run by unelected bureaucrats and special interests that have destroyed everything. So let's wake up and wake up, pray up, buckle up, because this isn't over. They're not going to roll over on this thing and just let Donald Trump waltz into the White House. That's not going to happen. So we're in for a really crazy 100 days, and then another 70 or so after that before he takes office. So pray for our country, pray for our president and our government. We're going to need it.
Right. Yeah, gentlemen, as we move to the next slide, if anybody is not sure what a propaganda machine looks like, we're seeing that propaganda machine right now play out in real time like never before.
I was really glad that you switched to my picture whenever you were talking about a propaganda machine. Are you referring to Mary and I?
Well, I wanted to say this, that this was truly a proud moment in central and southern Illinois, and hopefully most of Illinois, to see our Congresswoman Mary Miller and her husband, Leader Chairman Representative Chris Miller, there in Milwaukee to represent us on the convention floor. What a great nomination speech she gave the other night. Chris, you were there watching it. What was that like? Tell us real quick.
It's quite a proud moment to be able to stand behind Mary and have her deliver what was, in my opinion anyway, great remarks about where we're at, where we're going, what we need to do, and we need to put Donald Trump back in the White House. He's the only one that can fix this mess, and so we need to get 100% behind him and get it done.
Yeah, exactly. Dan, what were your thoughts as you watched this last week?
Well, it was particularly, I think, it's pretty phenomenal concerns about it, but it came off extremely well. I guess I now have a little buyer's remorse in not stepping up and being an alternate for President Trump. But we watched a lot of the convention every night and watched a lot of it on CNN. I'd give them a plug. It's always nice to know. But we're real proud of Mary. It was a bit of a struggle to get her there. There were some folks in Illinois that thought they deserved that. And, our Congresswoman to represent the state of Illinois at that convention, and to have her trophy husband by her side. I mean, what a better picture. It couldn't be a more Americana.
Well, Blaine, the only thing that would have made that picture better is if the three of us would have been flanking the Congresswoman and her husband. So that would have made that a lot better, I think.
Well,
that's absolutely right.
Say it again, Blaine.
I was gonna say before Blaine goes that I felt like I was in a roller derby because there was so much elbowing and jockeying for position behind the Congresswoman. I had to brace up and hold my ground.
Well, you look good and you look strong doing it, Christopher, and we're proud of you and Mary for being there and doing that, but more importantly, doing what you do, otherwise. But no, I thought the convention was pretty awesome. Anytime you can have Hulk Hogan and Dana White on the same night, it's pretty stinking spectacular as far as I'm concerned. But there was a lot of really great stuff from just the regular folks there too. Talking about their experiences with government and lack of being represented, and how we need to change that. And, I think that's the message going forward. We need a real democratic process, and people need to be actually represented. We need to bring jobs and opportunities back to our area, and we don't do that by kowtowing to the special interests and these government actors that have ruined everything. So I have high hopes for that. I was really excited about J.D. Vance. I've been following him for a long time since this book came out in 2016 or whenever that was. Been following him, excited about what he brings to the table, and excited. I think that pick in my mind showed that Trump is serious about draining the swamp. When you bring in somebody like that, it would have been a lot easier for him to pick a Rubio or somebody like that the establishment is more comfortable with. They're certainly not comfortable with J.D. Vance. It's probably the best insurance policy that Trump could have done, because Trump might be one thing, but these people certainly don't want J.D. Vance running the country, and I think that's awesome. That's exactly that type of people that we need.
Well, there was a lot of definitely exciting moments and things that we'll all remember differently about it. I think one of the most interesting moments for me there, Blaine, was J.D. Vance talked about his Christian grandmother and how faithful she was, and the 19 firearms that she had stashed around her home. But then when he dived into this idea that she would just drop the F-bomb every little bit, I kind of tensed up on that one. But oh well, that's real life, right? This is real people in real life. So yeah, with that. So hey guys, let's get into our next. Go ahead, Dan.
Go ahead. I was just saying, I think something we need to remember were the Gold Star families. I thought that was one of the most powerful moments of that convention, when the Gold Star families stood up there and talked about how they were treated and the sacrifice that their families made for this country. And there is no countenance to that. That was patriotism, and everyday Americans have sacrificed, given their sons and daughters for this country, and I hope we see more of that. That's the epitome of the everyday people in this country who believe in America.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Dan. And then for President Trump to play tribute to the firefighter that protected his family at the rally that Saturday afternoon, to fall on them and to cover them. And he lost his life protecting his family. I think that's just the kind of people that we are, just kind of salt of the earth people. And what a valiant move that is, to be respected and revered and honored for years to come. All right. With that, our last slide, we're going to talk about taking our town halls on the road, going to Will County. I think there's actually a slide here. Yeah, this is August the 6th in Wheaton at the at Carroll Stream. It is. I'm sorry, Carroll Stream Holiday Inn on Tuesday night, August the 6th. You can go to IllinoisFreedomCaucus.org and find out more about that. More dates coming, but there's also you can just find out more about it there at IllinoisFreedomCaucus.org. And with that, our closing slide, where to find us. And if you feel like you would like to contribute and be a part of our efforts, you can just freedomcaucus.org/donate. And of course, the weekly communication via the Substack. You can find us there, and appreciate you guys that are all being a part of our effort. And with that, guys, we're kind of closing up our evening. Blaine, let's go to Blaine, Dan, and Chris for some real quick closing lightning round comments.
Yeah, folks, wake up, pray up. That's all we can do. That's what we need to do.
Right. Dan?
Colin, for putting this together again tonight. I hope you all have enjoyed our review. We really appreciate you tuning in and being of this quest that we're on to help reform Illinois. Come out and see us. Halls. And if you have a group, like to get a few members of the Freedom Caucus to come and speak with you, please let Colin know. We love to take this on the road, reach out and talk to people, and hopefully fire them up, give them hope. We've got a huge election this November, lots of good candidates all across the state that we want to support. So let us know if you'd like to have us come by.
Exactly. Chris, take us home. What's the closing thoughts?
One thing that I did want to mention, I think it'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Netanyahu is coming to town tomorrow, I believe, and so far Biden's refused to meet with him, Kamala's refused to meet with him, and I think it's dangerous footing when we poke our finger in the apple of God's eye. And so at least we as Republicans, we need to be 100% staying in solidarity behind Israel. We need to pray for the peace of Jerusalem and let God's will be done in all these things. But like I said in the beginning, is that things aren't falling apart. God's plan is falling together. And so, as like Blaine said, we need to pray up because God can fix this mess.
Yeah, exactly. All right, gentlemen, thanks for taking a few minutes, and thank you all for tuning in. And as always, we would appreciate that you like, share, follow, and subscribe to our content. That help us to overcome the algorithmic gods of the big tech overlords. And with that, good evening, everyone, and we'll talk to you next time.